Have you ever met someone who earned a fortune but retired broke? And then you meet another person who never made a six-figure salary yet somehow retired comfortably, travels, pursues a hobby, gardens, spoils the grandchildren, and never seems stressed about money. How is that possible? It's one of the biggest mysteries about money. The surprising answer isn't income, it isn't investing, it isn't luck, it's the psychology of money. Today, I want to share some of the most powerful lessons I have learned from the Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and more importantly, what those lessons mean if you are retired or getting close to retirement. Because retirement isn't just a financial journey, it's an emotional one. So grab a cup of tea or coffee and let's talk about why the way we think about money often matters, much more than how much money we actually make. Let me tell you a story. Imagine two neighbors, let's call them David and Sarah, and David drove a luxury SUV, and every 3 years it changes. The house was larger than what he needed, and he loved expensive watches and beautiful vacations. Every vacation was first class, and everyone assumed that he was wealthy. Across the street lived Sarah, and she drove the little Toyota for 15 years, packed lunches to work, bought books at the library, painted as a hobby, walked every morning. Nobody thought she had much money. Fast forward 30 years, David is worried. He's still working, delaying retirement because he can't afford to stop working. But Sarah retired early. She volunteers, travels occasionally, and has enough savings to sleep peacefully at night. So what happened? Morgan Housel explains something incredibly important. Being rich and being wealthy are not the same thing. Rich is what people see, and wealth is what people don't see. Wealth is the money you didn't spend. That's one of the hardest lessons to learn, because our brains naturally notice the shiny car, not the investment account. In retirement, invisible wealth becomes visible freedom. Here is another story. A retired couple finally buys their dream condo overlooking the water. They are thrilled for about 3 months. And then someone moves into the penthouse upstairs, bigger balcony, better view, luxury renovations. Suddenly, their beautiful condo doesn't feel quite as special. Nothing changed except the comparison. The comparison happened in the mind. This is something psychologists call relative satisfaction. Our happiness often depends less on what we have and more on what we think others have. The book reminds us that enough is a powerful word. Enough isn't giving up. Enough means knowing when you have won. One of the greatest retirement mistakes is continuing to chase more money long after you already have enough to live the life you actually want. how many more years of stress are worth another percentage point? Sometimes the best investment isn't another stock, it's another afternoon with your grandchildren, or another painting in your sketchbook, or another walk along the lake. Those moments will never show up on a balance sheet. Yet, maybe the richest part of retirement are those where you get to do those things at your leisure. Most people think compound interest only applies to investments. It doesn't. Small habits compound too. Imagine saving just a little every month. It doesn't seem impressive. Year after year, though, it quietly grows. The same thing happens with spending. Little unnecessary purchases don't seem like much today, but over decades, they become thousands. The same applies to health, relations, creativity. Spend 20 minutes doing something creative every day. Walk every morning. Read a book, a few pages every day. Call a friend every day. Those small habits compounds into a joyful retirement. Money compounds. Life compounds. The question is, what are you allowing to grow? Is it your life or is it your money? Both can be done simultaneously, but your life is also important. Your time is important. And we make such emotional financial decisions too. When markets are soaring, everybody wants to invest. When markets crash, everyone wants to sell. People are checking their portfolio 3 times a day. Morgan Housel reminds us that investing isn't about intelligence. It's about behavior. Retirement especially tests our emotions. Imagine watching your investments fall 20%. That's scary. But history shows markets have recovered from recession, wars, inflations, pandemics, and financial crisis as well. The people who usually succeed aren't the smartest, they're often the calmest. Patience doesn't make headlines, but patience builds wealth. One of the greatest gifts retirees can give themselves is learning not to react to every scary news. These stories will keep happening. The financial news makes money by keeping us worried. Peace often comes from turning the television off. So give it a thought and decide what is your path. And let me know in the comments what you think. And here is my favorite lesson. Money isn't the goal. Freedom is. Think about it. Why do we save? Why do we invest? Why do we work? We often forget that, and ultimately it's to control our own time, to wake up without an alarm, to visit family, to travel, to create something, an art maybe, volunteer, and then to simply enjoy an ordinary Tuesday. That's real wealth. One retiree once said, I finally realized I spent 40 years making a living, and now I'm learning how to make a life. That sentence stayed with me. Retirement isn't the end of productivity, it's the beginning of choosing what matters most. And money should support your life, your freedom, your happiness, and not become your life. It is a supporting role. So, if I had to summarize the psychology of money into a simple retirement lesson, they would be these: that wealth is what you keep, not what you show. Comparison steals happiness. Small habits compounds into extraordinary results. Patience usually beats panic, and the purpose of money is buying freedom, not buying things. Retirement isn't about having the biggest investment. It's about having enough. Enough is a powerful word to live a life filled with purpose, curiosity, health, relationships, and joy. Because at the end of the day, nobody remembers the size of your portfolio, and people do remember the memories you created, the kindness you shared, the time you spent with those you love, and perhaps that's the richest investment of all. If you enjoyed this video, I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What's the biggest money lesson you have learned over the years? And share it in the comment and share your experience, and let's create a sharing, caring community. And if you found value in today's story, don't forget to grab that book from the library and read it end to end. And please subscribe to my channel and we will explore more ideas about retirement. Thank you for joining. Have a great day.